Welcome to Kitty Knits, a vlog by Kate Heppel. Episode 9, Where Wool Comes From. Hi guys, welcome back. My name's Kate. I am the editor of Knit Now magazine and I'm also a knitting designer. This week I was very lucky to be invited down to the British Wool Marketing Board to have a look at what they do. So this is just my little report back on what I found out. I'm going to start actually by handing straight over to Gareth Jones, who is the producer communication manager at the British Wool Marketing Board, which means he is in charge of communicating with farmers for the most part. So he's going to give us a little rundown of the British Wool Marketing Board and why it exists.
So as an introduction first of all to the global wool industry, you'll be aware that it's a very significant industry, but it is an industry that has shrunk by about 40% in the last sort of 15-20 years. But there's 2.1 million tonnes of greasy wool produced per annum globally, and greasy wool is wool as it comes in off the farm, unprocessed wool. And that's what we do. We provide a service in getting wool off the farm, presenting it to the market, but we sell all our wool greasy, and then obviously it goes to places like Howard Scouring in order to be scoured. And synthetic and man-made fibres are obviously the biggest competition to wool as a fibre, and wool accounts for less than 2% of the fibre that's used in the world. But no, the Wool Board was established back in 1950, and we pride ourselves on being a farmers' cooperative. We pride ourselves on being a farmer organisation, and our main area of responsibility is to provide a high standard of service to the producer, but also in maximising the value of the wool to But back in the day, in 1950 when the board was established, there was over 130,000 sheep farmers marketing their wool through the board, and there was over 100 merchants buying wool at the auctions that were held down in London at that time. Because the board was established only 5 years after the end of the Second World War, in order to encourage farmers to keep sheep, to produce wool, because at that time there was no talk of man-made and synthetics, the government would put a guaranteed price on wool. So regardless what the market value of that wool was, as part of the Chancellor of the Exchequer's budget every year, and we've got the Chancellor doing the budget tomorrow, but it used to be part of the budget every year that they would guarantee a certain price to the farmer for the wool, regardless of what the true market value was. Because we're a farmers' cooperative, last remaining agricultural commodity board, but we are fully funded by our producers. We take a pence per kilo, in effect a levy, off the producer for the service we provide from farm to auction, and that's how the board is funded. So 45,000 sheep farmers marketing their wool through the board. The guaranteed price that I mentioned came to an end in 1992, so it's not that long ago that the guarantee came to an end, just sort of over 20 odd years ago. So since 1992, farmers have been receiving the true market value minus obviously the pence per kilo or the levy that we take off for the service we provide.
So next up, Gareth told us a little bit more about the sorting and grading process, and it's something that we got a little bit up close and personal with in the depot as well afterwards.
We are quite unique in the UK. When you compare us to New Zealand and Australia. We've got 60 different pure breeds as well as the crossbreeds as well. So all these different breeds produce a wide variation of types and qualities of wool. The average number of sheep per farm in the UK is 350. If we relate that to wool, you're looking at an average weight of 2.2 kilos for a fleece off one sheep. So you're looking at about 700 kilos of wool per farm. So as individuals, farmers are not producing the volume that the trade and the manufacturers require. So by having the centralised structure in place, it enables the farmers to deliver the wool into us. We grade it, pack it, test it, prepare it for auction, and we'll see the auction taking place this morning. So that then enables the farmer to maximise the value of their wool. So we grade every individual fleece that comes into us. We'll see some grading taking place this morning as well, and it's a vital part of what we do for the farmer because that's where we add value. we separate the better quality from the poorer quality, and that enables us to sell that better quality wool through the auction like this morning and achieve a better price, which is then returned back to the farmer. It takes on average about 5 to 6 seconds for us to grade one fleece. It takes a 5-year apprenticeship on average. We've got 2 apprentices in the depot at the moment as well. But the reason it takes up to 5 years is that obviously we've got a huge variation of types and qualities. We've got about 110 different grades across the UK. Every grade has its own individual characteristics to meet the specification within that grade. And the other reason as well is obviously they need to have an understanding of the wider industry, from the farming side, all the different crosses that we've got, and then obviously the scouring and the further down the line. When the graders are grading, they're looking at the condition of the fleece, they're looking at the way it's been presented, they're looking at the staple, like what we're doing there, the length and strength of the staple. We're looking if there's any contamination, they're looking if there's any colour, any black or grey fibres running through the fleece, sort of restricts the product it can be used for, so colour is an important part. But like I said, as they're doing it, they're using their hands and their fingers to feel the wool, they're using their eyes, looking at the different things, and like I said, all these, like the process of elimination, if you like, going through their mind, and like I said, it's 5-6 seconds, and the way that fleece goes, they know exactly the type and the quality of that fleece.
We were shown around the depot by Chris Rowan, whose knowledge and enthusiasm was really quite incredible.
Obviously we can't pick wool, the quality goes out the window. What we're looking for is something that's more hard wearing. The colour element is important because obviously the less grey fibres there are in there, the easier that it is for the trade to carry out dye and things like that, so the cost thing there. So it's different things that we're looking at with different breeds or types. So we have Blueface Leicester is a type or a grade that we keep separate. No two ways about that. There are certain types, like you have like a very fine, which has been maybe a Blueface crossed with a mill, or which gives it more of a bready feel to it, but it's got the characteristics of the crib. But we're just talking about breeds. I mean, say like Wensleydales and Teeswater, say for example, where the characteristics of those types of those are put together. The weight is not magnificent, but the actual if you put one of those, a Blueface, one of those, and a Wensleydale next to each other.
I'll hand you back over to Gareth now to explain the final bit of the British Wool Marketing Board's part in the process.
Once we then have between 22 and 24 bales of a particular grade, roughly about 8 tonne of wool, it's then ready to be allocated to sale. So once we've allocated the 8,000 kilos of a particular grade, before we can sell it, we then need to test it. We take an objective measurement, we take a small sample of wool from the centre. If there was 24 bales, for example, we take 24 core samples from the centre of the bale, so that we can send that wool then to be tested at an independent laboratory, which is based in Carnarvon in North Wales, where they would test for yield, micron, colour and vegetable matter. So that's just an image of the auction room. We'll be going there this shortly. We've got 2 auctioneers in the front there. The auctioneers are controlling the auction. It's a fully electronic auction system that was introduced in 2003. First country in the world to introduce an electronic auction system. It's the same principle as if you were going to Gisborne, Clitheroe or any other livestock market. The only difference is when you're putting a bid in, you're not picking your nose, scratching your head or winking at the auctioneer, you're basically clicking on the mouse.
After our morning at the British Wool Marketing Board, we headed just down the road to Haworth Scouring to get a little idea of the next stage in the process. This is where wool comes to be turned from a rough and ready fleece into a beautiful, clean and fluffy fibre for spinning into yarn. So the wool is first blended before heading in to be scoured, and this removes the majority of the dirt and the muck from the fleece. As it moves from one vat to the next, it becomes cleaner and cleaner, and at the end of this stage, if the customer requires, the fleece can be bleached to remove any excess colour from the wool. Next up, it's dried in these huge industrial drying machines, and nothing here is wasted. Even the wool, which had once been part of mattresses, finds a new life. The final stage of the process, which we saw this week, turned that messy fluffy stuff into something which can be spun. The fibres go through progressive stages of blending and combing until you're left with something which hand spinners and felters might recognise as wool tops. It's a pretty intense, dirty, smelly process, and one which can have a massive environmental impact, so it was interesting to see everything that was being done at Howard Scouring to minimise that. I think one of the reasons it's really important to use wool which has been processed in the UK is precisely because of those strict environmental regulations which are in place here. So that's it. If we are lucky, I might be able to convince someone to let me have a look around their mill so that I can show you the next stage in the process at some point. But that's where we leave it for today. Once again, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've got any questions, comments, either down below, over on Ravelry, on Facebook, Twitter. You can find all of those links down below. I'm off to Edinburgh Yarn Fest this week, which should be very exciting, so I promise I will be taking my camera and reporting back again. So make sure you stay tuned, and as ever, if you like this video, click like. If you want to see more, including that report from Edinburgh, click subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!